gangster.
Yeah, sounds pretty. Hey. Good morning. How is everybody doing this morning? I am Isaac, and this is the Warrior's Way in association with UCAN, United Community Addiction Network. And I have my friend Andy here. Andy, say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And he is here from a group called Reconnections. You are the outreach director, I do believe, yeah?
Yes, sir.
And we're going to get into what outreach you have and what Reconnection is. And it is a group that helps people that have been in jail for a long time to reacclimate into the community and help them be able to get job assistance and training, right?
Correct.
All right. So, but Andy has got an awesome story, so I wanted to bring him on. And before we get started, is there like a website for Reconnections or something if someone wants to just check that real quick?
Yes, you can just go to reconnections.org.
.org.
.org, yes, sir.
All right. Anybody know the difference between .com and .org or just something else, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, so Andy, you are a Flint guy or Davison guy, Burton guy, right?
A little bit of all that, yes.
A little bit of all that.
Yep.
All right. And let's see. Where did you go to high school?
Went to Davison High School.
Yeah?
Yep.
Did you go to Davison Elementary too?
No, I actually went to West Bendel, which isn't far from here.
Yeah, that's Burton.
Yep.
All right. So you were one of them uppity kids, you know.
That's correct. Yeah, one of the uppity.
Hey, ones with all that money, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, white T-shirts and jeans, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. What was shoes of preference when you were a kid?
Probably the cheapest. There were a lot of kids in my family.
But you had to go for the Jordans if you could get them?
Yeah, if I could, yeah.
Yeah, 108 with tax.
Yeah, when you're little, they're cheap. When you get a little older, you can choose.
Yeah.
Start working and, you know.
Yeah, you can't get the Timberlands, but you can get the lugs, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So in case you don't know what we're talking about, how you grew up when you were younger, if you couldn't afford the name brand stuff, you had to get the off name brand stuff that looks similar. So lugs is, and speaking of tennis, I don't know. My parents always had to go to Kmart because we were broke, right?
Yep.
And they had Trax, TRAXXX.
Okay.
Made out of plastic.
Yep.
Oh, dude, when a brand new pair of shoes costs $3.99, you know that's not going to bode well.
Yeah.
The kids would just tear you up, right? Just terrible.
Absolutely.
All right, so you grew up in the Bendel-Davison area. And then you went to high school in Davison. Did you graduate from high school there?
No, I did not.
Okay. And so what was your life like as when you're starting off as a teenager? Like parents divorced, single, together? Like what was that family dynamic? You said there was a bunch of kids.
Yeah, so my mother did divorce and she remarried. So, you know, my teenage years, I was raised by my stepfather, who actually, before we moved to Davison, we lived here in Burton right up at Connell Street, so the corner of Saginaw and Bristol.
Oh, no, just right around the corner?
Yeah, he was a Fisher Body guy.
Okay.
So he worked up there, you know, but yeah, there was 5 of us kids, 3 before the divorce. When they got married, I have 2, a brother and sister, half brother and sister, so there's 5 of us. So.
All right. And are you guys still you guys still communicate nowadays, or?
Yeah, we all do. We're all spread out a little bit, but yeah, we still communicate.
All right, and one of the things that people don't know about Andy is he's a phenomenal chess player, and I love chess, and he's one of the guys I lose to more than I win, and there's not very many of those left alive, but I'm coming for you, bud. I just need you to know We're getting there.
Look forward to that always.
Looking forward to that challenge. So the
I know that's your passion.
That's right. The nerdery is strong with this one.
Yeah.
All right. So you're getting to high school, and were you a troublemaker? Did you get into drugs? Did you drinking? Like, is there anything like that?
Yeah. I think, like we get that at the age where you know everything, which is about 14, I think.
At 14,
and we
15,
start
yeah.
experimenting and doing things. And so I started drinking and smoking a little. Yeah.
I told people, I said, I don't know how old the devil was when he fought God, but I'm thinking about 14, 15.
Yeah.
He decided he knew everything.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And so she started getting a little bit of trouble and like grade slipping, skipping school, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, partying a little bit. My relationship with my stepdad wasn't the best.
Well, step-parents is typically.
Yeah, and looking back now, of course, he's gone now, but a great guy. I have a lot of respect for him. Looking back as an adult, but as a young man and as a kid, he wasn't my father. We had a lot of run-ins.
You don't tell me what to do.
Exactly. And so,
all right, so you're 14, 15. You're getting some trouble now. Did you meet your wife early, or was that later?
So I met my wife earlier.
Okay, that's what I thought.
About that age is when I met her. Now, it was years later that we would get together.
Yeah, but I remembered earlier. It was like, we've known each other for a really long time. So was it at that time?
Well, for anybody local, we all know Roller Haven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the great meetup for teenagers at that time. I think still is actually.
Yeah, so, right next to the bowling alley. Parents go bowling, the kids go skating.
Absolutely. So that's where we met. Yeah.
Okay, and you were 14, 15, 16.
Yeah, probably about 14 at that time.
Okay.
Yep.
So you get in, you're hanging out, you're doing normal partying, kid stupid things, and you get in some trouble, and you ended up going away for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long was that?
26 and a half years.
All right, 26 and a half years. So you basically have a PhD on the system. That's how I look at you as a person.
Definitely feel like I have a good understanding of it.
Yeah, for sure, so, right? So, did you finish school in there?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did that whole process take you?
Well, I went right from high school. I was ready to graduate as a senior, so I went inside when I was 17.
Yeah.
So they were able to get me into school in there, and I was able to get a GED probably within the year.
So you got, as fashionably loved as called the GED. You got the GED, like something to do, keep your mind busy.
Immediately, yep.
All right.
I got the GED.
All right, got the GED.
Yep.
And so you're heading off to prison. Now, did you stay in the same place, or you transferred a lot? Like, how did that part work?
Well, you do get moved around a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of transfers. They have various different reasons why they do that. Initially, when you go, you start out at a place they call the reception center. Now, years ago, they had a place called Riverside, which was a place that they would send juveniles because typically they try to separate juveniles from the adult population.
Right.
I don't think they do that anymore as much, but it was purposeful back then. So
Sure.
As far as the experience of going, I mean, I remember a guy telling me what to expect, and he said, you're going to get on a bus, and they're going to take you out of the county jail, and you're going to go for a ride, and you're going to see this giant castle, and you're there. So.
And the giant castle was it, right?
The giant castle is it. Yeah.
All right, so you go and you do your 6 months or whatever, and then you get transferred. Is that how it worked? That transitionary time, or did you stay? Was that Jackson or whatever?
Well, originally I went to Riverside for 6-7 weeks. That's the reception center. That's where they take you in. They evaluate you, kind of see, kind of determine where they're gonna place you.
Okay.
I was fortunate to start out at a place when I left there because they have a lot of anybody that knows the system understands they got regional facilities and different types of. After the big build in the 80s, early on you had some of the bigger prisons like Marquette, Jackson, there was probably 5 or 6 of them scattered throughout the state.
Yeah.
Anymore, there's upwards of 40. And they used to try to put you in regional areas. So like when you went to prison, if you're, say, from Flint, they would put you in the facility that's closest to Flint. Okay. That way you could stay connected with family and stuff like that. They don't do that any longer.
Okay.
But when I started out, I went to a place they called the Michigan Reformatory. I think it's still open. This thing is upwards of 200 years old. They call it Gladiator School.
Gladiator.
So
that sounds very kind.
I arrived there. Well, you know, the counselor at the time, I remember going in when they're doing evaluations, and she told me, she said, "Sir, young man, everybody here, they're focused on going home where you're going."
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the joke. You know, you got everybody doing life. You got a bunch of rowdy 17 to 21-year-olds all doing life sentences. I'm sure that's what they're focused on.
Yeah.
They just want to go home, you know, so... That's where I started, and I spent probably, you know, around a year, a little over that there before I was able to get transferred out to Lapeer.
All right, and so what is the amount of time that it takes to get acclimated to that lifestyle? Like how long, like where you got the routine? Did it take a long time, or is it something you adapted to extremely quickly?
It's definitely a process, and because you're dealing with two totally different cultures, and you know, it's going to take you 6 months to a year. I mean, to really understand the system, because there's a whole set of values and cultures that's going on inside, as opposed to out here, you know. And so a lot of shocking things. I mean, I can share my experience of walking in for you. I mean, I walked into a place that's over 100 years old with bars, the same way you'd see it on TV, with a light bulb. They've changed it since then, but, you know, probably every 10 feet, it's dark. I went in on a dark, it was a winter night.
Yeah.
And you got people barking like dogs and acting like fools.
So like Shawshank for real.
It really is. It really is. It really is. At that time, it really was like that. You just walk down, and of course, everybody wants to be tough.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you need to portray that. That's something, you know, it's very important. But going down there, just not knowing what to expect, not knowing anybody, you know, and you're just carrying a bedroll and nothing with you, and nothing but alone, dragging fear with you all the way down.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And just absolutely terrified while pretending that you're not terrified while everybody else is doing the same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely, especially with young men.
Yeah, and so you're in a situation where you're trying to fake something that doesn't exist, and it becomes a lifestyle in term, and that whole fake it till you make it thing makes a little bit of sense in there, you know.
Right. And
so when you're getting into that situation and you're looking at that environment, it's amazing. And then so you got in there, and that was your first. How long were you there? 6 months, you said, or a year?
Just probably about a year.
Okay, at the and then where'd you go from there? Like
to Lapeer.
And so you were in Lapeer, that little 100 place, or the big one?
The big one. They have, it's multi-level. They have level 4s and level
Yeah. And you know the only reason I know it's there is because on the highway it says, "Please don't pick up hitchhikers."
There you go. That was home for a number of years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you went from there into there, and how long were you when you were in Lapeer?
Around between the 4 and 2, probably around 15 years.
Oh, so that was the place. Okay.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
So all right. So just to explain this to people so they have an understanding, when you're in there and you're doing this time, are you seeing like what is it like in there? You got like counselors, you got spiritual guide, do you have like downtime? What's it like? Give people like a glimpse of that life there.
Well, I could share a little bit about the day to day. I will tell you, when you go in, one thing I remember remarking on, it's why it's important what I'm doing today, is that, you know, there is nobody that's going to meet you at the door and say, "Hey, you know, I realize all this just happened to you, and you know what's going on, and let's talk about it. What do you need? How can we help
together?
Let's sit down and process." No, there's nothing like that. In fact,
it's just
the unfortunate
life.
Part of, and I do believe they're trying to make changes. So I'm not just gonna, you know, it actually is moving in a more positive direction. But
we'll get to that.
Usually the focus is on the end when you're leaving, the help, which is amazing, right? But day-to-day stuff, I mean, first you do got to acclimate. There's things that you do out here that in the community that you wouldn't think twice about. Mm-hmm. And them very same things inside very likely could get you killed. I mean, that is the reality.
Right.
And so there are a new set of rules that you need to learn when you go in there, as far as among inmates and how you conduct yourself. And, you know, you guys are all familiar with the the old movies and, just the different
racial differences and
they're everything. It's top down. To me, I think one way to best describe it is I think prison's kind of like high school, if you remember that, the cliques. Mm-hmm. So you go in, you got all the different, you got jocks and you got people that use the drug, you got all these different people. Yeah. And I think that the institutions, the prisons, they're set up kind of that same way. You kind of get in where you fit in. Right. You meet people that are like-minded, that are, that like you. Right. There's a hierarchy in there of, respect and.
Right. So basically if we use the high school setup, whatever you were doing when you got in there is pretty much what you're going to be stuck. Right. Yeah. So were you playing chess then? Or as a distraction kind of deal?
I know you love this chess.
I know. Nerd, high level.
Yeah, the very first. I'll tell you where I learned chess. My very first game was actually through an uncle telling me. I remember him telling me as a kid, "This is too complicated. You're not going to understand it." Visiting at their house through high school, went to high school. The math teacher there, which is a natural fit. Yeah. He had a chess club. So when we were in math class, if we finished our work, he would let us sit and play chess with each other. So. That's the first time I really ever played, of course, and then I fine-tuned the game a little bit when I had the 26 and a half years.
And we're gonna get to that. That's a perfect place to stop, and we're gonna go ahead and take a break. If you can check out Spiritual Warfare Unit, spiritualwarfareunit.com, and then YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. We'll be right back.
People that are talking about breaking the rules use their fingers to speak to each other. And that's what gangs do to communicate from point A to point B. It's almost like this has been in the Bible for 2,000 years and people feel like it's a new thing. That is unbelievable, isn't it? That things that are happening in your life today are in here from 2,000 years ago. That's very weird.
Was that close to 14? Alrighty, welcome back from our first break. I'm here with Andy Williams from Reconnections, and we were just talking about how he started to learn how to play chess and was getting a chance to hone his skills. And you were in Lapeer County at the time, and so at this time. Like, I know in county, we have classes and religious classes, and they have therapists. And do they have all that stuff in there too?
Yeah, they do. The classes, a lot of them are geared towards things that take care of the institution as well. So, it's like multi-purpose. So they teach you, there's classes on cooking, there's teachers on custodial maintenance, cleaning. They used to have some that they've done away with, but there used to be like body shop and different things, programs like that. Mm-hmm. Horticulture is another one. Yeah.
All right. And what's horticulture? I don't know what that is.
Well, they teach you gardening.
Oh, that's a really fancy word for flowers.
It's fancy for flowers and taking landscaping. Yeah. Yep.
So landscaping and all that stuff, and that's actually stuff that you use. That's cool. All right. Yeah. So how good of a cook are you then?
I'd say fair.
Fair, but fair. Yeah. All right, that's cool.
I spent a lot of years, and I never would have, but quantity cooking. Mm-hmm. So I used to work in the kitchens for years, and you're cooking on an average for about 1,500 people. Mm-hmm. So I used to do that for a lot of years, and then they have what they call a food tech. There's a food technology class or food service hospitality management. I used to work in that as a teacher's aide. Okay. And I would teach others how to cook. So and bake. So
you're basically doing things to learn stuff, but keep yourself busy while you're going through it, right?
Absolutely.
Just to keep your mind somewhere else. So, and the reason why I was pressing on the chessboard, because I love this story. So you had a gentleman that you were playing with in there, yeah?
Yeah.
And every time you'd lose, he'd make you tell that story there.
I'll give him a shout out, not the full name, but Sonny.
All right. I didn't want to do it.
was an older gentleman that was really good at chess, and we used to play, and we'd play for push-ups. And mind you, I'm in my 30s, and he's probably close to 60.
And he's not in good shape or anything.
Well, no, and he's not wanting to do a lot of push-ups.
So he was just having you come on to wear you out.
So I got wore out. To be honest, I learned chess
in great shape?
Sets of 50, and I was in pretty good shape back then. 25s and 50s, depending on So yeah, I definitely got in shape behind chess. It was a lot of fun. One of my favorite games. He used to taunt me a lot of times.
Now, did he teach you, or he just beat you and expect you to learn?
He didn't. We played. He just beat me, and I learned. Honestly, I think a lot of my playing is just watching what he would do, and I would get the taunts, as of, hey, hot shot, make your move, Shabroni. And I would just have to learn from my mistakes. Chess is just a lot of patterns, and you learn them. So, yeah.
So your whole life was putting these patterns together and just staying focused and do what you got to do to get through there, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So you're going through there. Now, did you finish in Lapeer?
No, I've been to different places.
All right. And so you're how old at this time?
I'm in my 20s there, spending my 20s there. So I went in at 17.
Yep.
And I walked out at 43, about 44 years old.
All right, but I just want to get the time frame for the story, because your story is awesome, dude. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
And it's amazing how it works. So you're in your 20s in Lapeer, and then you get transferred. Now this is not of your. They just time to go. Yeah,
sometimes they have different reasons, which I understand. There could be security reasons, any number of things. But yeah, once you reach certain points in your time, they have different levels. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they will move you around.
All right. So you moved to where? So you said late 20s.
Yeah.
All right, and where'd you go?
I believe the next stop was St. Louis, Michigan.
Okay, and at this time, did you have anybody coming to visit?
Actually, Adrian. I'm sorry. I think I went down to Adrian, the way down, right next to Ohio. Yeah, we could throw a rock at Ohio.
Yeah.
So I spent
Shout
some time
out to Adrian
College.
Yeah, Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Right. And so you were there for a little while, and then how long were you there?
A few years. I mean, I'd have to really.
So it's just so you found the same group of people doing the same things in the different places is basically what you did. You found your chess players, your people that are working in the kitchen, people that are staying busy, custodian stuff. That was your mindset, so that's what you went for.
Absolutely.
So your whole focus was just to get this done quietly and safely as possible and get out and move on with your life, right?
Right.
All right. So. And you did that process of moving how many times?
A handful, probably 5.
5 or 6 times?
Yeah.
All right. So during all of this time, you said you had met your wife as a young man, 14, 15.
Yep.
All right. So how did that transpire? Because I find this part of your story super awesome.
Well, because we knew each other when we were younger. She still knew some of my family, my brother, I believe. But
but how did that?
But my wife, she was going to college for criminal justice, and that was just something that she wanted to do. Yeah. And something came up with one of her classes where she had to do a report, and she had an option of choosing somebody. She needed to interview an inmate. Or there was some other option that I don't remember, but she chose the interview an inmate option. Yeah. And she got a hold of me and wanted to ask me questions, and and she I believe wrote a paper on what we talked about, but from that point on we never stopped talking.
That was it.
So yeah, that was it.
That was
the reconnection, as you will.
The reconnection.
We reconnected there. Yeah, absolutely.
And how old were you when that happened?
I believe about. I'm just 30. I'm trying to think.
So it was after Lapeer?
Yeah, right when I left there. I mean, okay. I left, so yeah.
All right, so.
We talked, and we met there, and then, I left.
And then she started consistently seeing.
For the last 10 years, she traveled, and boy, does she have some stories. And
well, that's why.
She'd probably kill me. I could share a couple.
Yeah. And I'm okay if she tries to kill you. We'll just.
Yeah, I ducked it for that many years. Yeah, I guess I can duck it out here, right?
Yeah, listen, at least one story. We'll wait till the next session. We'll get one.
I'll share one about her for you. You'll appreciate it.
She's such a great person.
She's awesome.
And so I wanted to get that time frame. She basically left Lapeer, went to Asia, and she's there, and she was there. She saw you consistently.
She every weekend. Yep.
All right. So now we have the 10-year time period. So now you have a friend, and she's there, and so. Like, what happened with the whole God thing? Where did that come into that time frame there? How did that work?
So very quick, as a young man, I went to church.
Okay.
Got out about the years you're talking about, teenage years and stuff, really stopped, lost all interest there.
Yeah.
Did a lot of praying in the jail. When I went, absolutely.
Yeah.
I went to jail and I received a sentence at 17 of 32 to 50 years. A lot of praying there and thinking about things.
Right.
But went on to prison, and it was the year 2000 is when I finally, the great moment for me, after struggling and doing a lot of things and still making foolish decisions.
Sure.
But I just remember really being broken, and looking for direction and just tired. Even suicidal at this point,
Sure.
really, truly. I still had 18 years left to do, and
Yeah.
a lot of questions. And I did some very sincere praying, and God answered my prayers in an amazing way. And so started going back to church and studying my Bible because I had plenty of time to do it. So I've read through it over and over, and just
Yeah.
God did an amazing work starting. So in 2000 is when it really.
Yeah, and for me, like you said, with the car accident,
Yeah.
as you know, I was stuck in my house. Now, I didn't have quite as long a sentence as you, but being stuck in my house and being that close to going outside, but can't do it because you get sick, it was torture,
Yeah.
and putting those thousands of hours into study trying to figure out what's my purpose and why did this happen, and that dark tunnel that you have to go down of that just weight and pressure, and it's really hard to explain to people. It's hard to function. It's hard to think properly, right? And so you're going through that. And then it's funny, the reason why, like funny faux pas, not funny haha, is because it was right. So you're doing that, and then your wife comes in, and then you said you were 43.
Yeah, I was 43 when I go home. And just to back up just a little, just so we're giving God proper credit and how
Yeah.
amazing he is, really. There's a lot I could say about that transformation and that reawakening.
Yeah.
But I do want to tell you that, so there was a guy when I prayed, you have a lot of questions, right? You're ready to die and trying to get your life right.
Yeah.
And I remember a guy coming to sit down, Isaac, somebody I don't even know in prison. This guy was doing natural life, never going home.
Right.
And shortly after, I don't remember how close, but it was very close after. I'm laying on my bunk and my door is cracked, and a guy stopped by drinking coffee. And he's like, "Hey, young blood, how you doing?" And I don't know the guy. And at this time, he's got probably 30 plus years in anyway.
Wow.
But he just started talking to me. He sat down, and there was something in me. And now I know, the Holy Spirit for sure. But there was something in me. It just told me, just shut up and listen,
Yeah.
Don't say nothing.
Yeah.
And he went on and on about all his experience and what he's learned and what to do and what not to do. And, just full of all the questions that I had, he answered.
Wow.
And, when
he just walked to your door.
Isaac, he just came to my door.
You didn't even ask. That's funny.
I didn't even know the guy, and but he told me, he said, I've been watching you because I was doing a lot of foolish stuff, even inside.
Sure.
Up to that point. I still, knew everything.
Yeah.
And making poor decisions,
Yeah.
But this is an older guy that just took notice and said, "Hey, but at the end of it anyway, at the end of that, he told me, he said, you may not know this, but I'm a Christian and I've been praying for you."
Wow.
And this is a guy that would sit and mind his own business. Smoke cigarette, not your typical look, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
understand that? Drink his coffee, smoke cigarettes, and just mind his business.
Yeah.
But that meeting absolutely changed my life. That
let me
meeting,
get-
the aha is that when he said it, I was just like, it would be no different than God speaking directly to me and answering my questions.
So let me get this straight so this makes sense in my brain.
Yeah.
You're just chilling, trying to figure it out, depressed, frustrated, and the guy just walked up and said, "I've been watching and praying you." You had no idea who, you knew who he was, but you didn't affiliate.
Seen him, didn't know him.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
And then he just decided, "I've been praying for you, and I think you ought to know this."
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It is. That's why I wanted to share that with you. I think people should know that. Yep.
Well, when you say that, if I didn't know you, I'd go, "Come on, man."
Yeah,
because
right.
that's kind of crazy,
Yep.
right? And that's part of your story that I absolutely love, because it's those things. Because if someone had said you are who you are now, we're getting to that part, right?
Right.
Of who you are now, and this cat, you're
Yeah.
not even the same human being, right?
No.
And it took the process. What people understand, because a lot of people say, "Well, you're a Jesus freak, you're doing this," but what religion does is it allows you to see that you have a purpose, and that purpose isn't you getting what you want.
Right.
That's not first. what's first is your purpose is to be able to help other people, and then you'll be filled by doing that, right?
Absolutely.
And so trying to get people to understand that is the opposite of how people think. Well, I'll get mine, and then I'll help you with yours. That's the basic understanding of it, right? And so you're in there, and just so we're clear, what year time was that? You said about 18 years in?
Yeah, that I spent in total.
No. When that happened, the situation.
Oh, I can tell you when. It was in 2000. That's when it happened.
Okay, and
So,
how many
yeah.
years have you been?
I'd been in since '92, so about 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
about 8 years.
So out of your whole time in there, which is 26.
Yeah, 26 years.
All right. So that happened kind of early.
Well, if you want to call 10 years earlier, 8 years, yeah.
Well, out of 26,
Yeah, yeah.
8's earlier.
So
you had 8 years of still just doing you.
Well, you exist. You find things to do.
You
Isaac.
survive.
You survive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you realize, oh, wow, there could be more than surviving life, right?
Absolutely.
And so God brings you somebody you don't talk to get you there. Now, did you guys end up being friends after that? Or
No.
Really? That was just a one-time shot?
It really was just a one-time. We are totally not in the same, we're not in the same groups. He did his thing, and which, you understand later.
Yeah.
But no, this is not somebody that I, hung out with or anything. This is just somebody that literally stopped by, took notice. And I believe, nobody else needs to, but I believe 100% God sent that man.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. I was there and I saw it, so it's kind of doesn't really matter.
Well, we know, and what we've learned, Isaac, and I know you know well, is that God works through people. That's what all this is about.
That's right.
And that's why I love what you're doing. This is what this is about: is working, connecting with people, and helping and serving one another. And that's a God thing. That's what the Lord does.
So we get through this.
Correct.
You have the aha moment. You go through. You do your years. Your wife is there. You got for 10 years. And so you get out, and it's what year?
I got out September 12th of 2018.
All right, so it's September 12th, 2018, and you and I meet very
soon after that, correct?
And as you're getting out, you had hooked up with a group called Reconnections.
I did.
Okay, and we are going to take our break right there, perfect spot. And when we come back, we're going to have some funny stories that are going through. I want the one from your wife because I think that's going to be beautiful.
Get me in trouble.
Listen, I'll tell her it was my fault. We got it on camera. You can blame me, but I got to hear it, man.
Okay.
And so you hit spiritualwarfareunit.com. Check out our life application class. Like, share, and subscribe. We will be right back.
I'm really impressed with the teachings that Isaac has been bringing to us, as this is all based from Proverbs.
I like it because it's simple, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's very easy to understand and apply to your life.
It points out, my bad parts, and, but it's showing me how to do the good parts. And, I'm trying to apply that and, make a better life for myself because I'm tired of where I've been.
It's impacted a lot of the guys as they continue to talk and ask questions after the meetings, as they speak to one another regarding the meeting and the messages and the topics that are being brought up, which are down-to-earth topics of situations and things that we live with on a day-to-day basis.
He takes the Bible and he breaks it down into simple terms and where you can understand. And like I said before, sometimes a lot of churches, even the Salvation Army, sometimes we start using these big words that people don't understand, like even saying someone got saved. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say someone got saved? And it's accepting Jesus into your heart. So it's like words like that we use that people don't understand.
It's just very interesting how he points out, the different things of, the sin part, and then he comes back with the, how to make it better, and he just points it out. It's there. I didn't know all this stuff was in there, but now that he's pointing it out, it's like, wow, I guess if you really dig into the Bible, you find these things.
This is a daily moral standards that we can live by, that the teachings are coming from. And honestly, we can take verse by verse as what he's done, and pretty much he's done the hard work for us and now laying it out so that we have an easier understanding.
There's some people who don't like to be in Bible classes, but this one seems to get their attention.
picks that those are the
man.
great ones, man. All right.
She loved that one.
Welcome back to the Warrior's Way. Our warrior this week is Andy Williams from Reconnections, and we were just finishing up his stories of getting out of jail and or getting out of prison and getting back with his wife. And this is the section where we tell some funny stories. So this is perfect. So you were talking about in prison about how you have to use everything to hold things up, right? So you said you use cardboard, and your main tool of choice was?
Well, maybe not main cardboard, but yeah, I use dental floss.
Dental floss is
Absolutely,
the main.
to hang
All
some
right.
things, yep.
So you get out, you go in the house, tell the story. He just told the story. This is great. Go ahead.
So this is a testament to my stupid. I made a lot of bad decisions in my life, and this is just going to rank up there. My wife's going to laugh when she hears it, but she went out. We moved into a new home, and she had bought a mirror that she wanted hung on the wall, and it's one of the mirrors that have like the wire where you need the wire to run through it and secure it. And so as a temporary solution, I got dental floss. I didn't have the wires, so
Because it's just habit.
hey, it's just I figured it would work, So I run dental floss through it and tied me a knot, and what makes it even horrible is I think it was probably wax dental floss, but I get it hung up, looks nice, tell her, hey, see, it's good, and then a little while later we hear a crash, so I'm like, oh man. So all my friends, anybody that knows about that, of course, she was happy to share with everybody,
Well, yeah.
So yeah. So anyway.
Well, that's great because you got
Bad-
to readjust to that life from inside out.
Yeah.
Dental floss isn't a necessary stringing tool.
You improvise. I mean, in prison, you can't go buy the little pluggy things and the hooks from the store and stuff that you need. You got to
yeah,
improvise.
like even warming up your soup takes some.
Yeah, we used to have things
Hot
called
water.
stingers. Yeah, you don't have microwaves and all that. You cut up extension cords and put battery pieces on them and throw them in your water, and you got to improvise.
It's like having a house full of MacGyvers.
You need it sometimes. Absolutely, you got to have it. They just don't pass out tools and stuff up in there.
No
So,
kidding.
right?
That's weird. They just don't pass.
Yeah, they don't give you a tool set when you go in, so
right,
you
so
got to
that
make
wa-
things work. So that was one dumb thing I did anyway, out of many, but yeah.
All right, so that was just a freebie we were talking about on Sign Line. So you said you were going to be talking about something with your wife, and she wants to kill you. Now I really want to hear this.
Well,
story.
now this one maybe, but I want to start this with this is just a testament to her dedication and love for her husband, which I greatly appreciate.
Absolutely.
So she was coming to see me one time and visit me at the prison, which she did regularly.
Yeah.
Her car broke down, and she had to call a tow truck. We were out at St. Louis.
Yeah.
And so when she comes in the visiting room that day, I have no idea. We can't communicate. She can't call me,
Yeah.
So when she comes in, she tells me how she had the tow truck driver drop her off at the prison because she was only a couple miles away from it, and then towed the car and had her mom come pick her up after the visit.
no.
I said, so we laughed, but I mean,
So she
what
told
more can I say? Amazing
so she told
woman,
the tow
right?
truck driver, listen, I got to hit this appointment.
Exactly.
And they said yes.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a testament to your wife's ability to get things done.
Well, and she does do that. She puts up with me. She gets things done.
She is such a great human being. My
Oh,
wife
yeah.
she is such a great human being. And I love like her taste and style with the stuff. And so, speaking of things that your wife has to put up with, so I had a recent doctor's appointment, and for those who don't know, I was in a car accident, so I have to take these. I have to do injections of human growth hormone, right? And apparently, it doesn't work out and make you as buff as everybody says, for the record. Yeah. So anyway, so I have to go to this test, and this was years ago. And she says, she says, well, tell me what happened when you get done, right? So I go in there, and I didn't tell her because I didn't want to do what the doctor has said, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're going to have to take these daily injections. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Right?
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, we'll strike that up to theory.
Right.
And so my wife's like, how they appointment? Oh, fine, right?
Yeah.
And so and then not thinking about it, right? They send the thing in the mail, right? And so I'm sitting there, and she comes in fuming, right? Because she's got the thing and the recommended, oh, we told him, blah, 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 blah. And then she gets done. And I was like, oh, is that what that meant?
Play dumb, man. Play dumb.
She was like, you didn't know. I was like, well, what happened was.
Right. Let me explain, please.
Yeah, right. And it's just because what's happening is when you're going through a traumatic experience, people lose. The wife is going through that with you, and she's like, and like with brain injury, she's the invisible person, but she's the reason why I'm capable of doing what I'm doing, because all the little things that I can't think about,
Right.
she takes care of that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the whole same thing, you know.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So, you got anything else for us?
As far as what stories or
You got
something I
some
can share?
gems. I know you do.
Yeah, I do have a lot of them. I'm trying to think. There was one that just escaped me talking with you though. Something to do with my wife. She's great. What's up with me? Something funny I did the other day. Well, I'm going to share one more about my wife. How's this? So
Deal.
This is the day I come home. All right. Now, mind you, almost 27 years I come home. So you see, I'm wearing glasses now. I was tired of them. I had to wear glasses inside. So I come home. I wanna have contacts. So my wife, who's great, sets up an appointment to go see the eye doctor. I mean, the day I'm coming home, we're gonna go get you contacts, and so we go into this appointment. And now, mind you, I went in at 17. I have zero life experience. I don't know nothing. I've never had insurance. I've never done anything, in this respect, And so we're going in. We're standing at the desk. Now I'm also nervous because I don't want people to know where I've been and what's, you know what I mean? I have nothing, right? I got zero history. I just left prison, So we go to the front desk and I know what's got to happen, but I don't know how it happens, right? We need your insurance. We need this. Who's here? What doctor you see? All these questions. And my wife, she's cute. She leans over and she's like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I stood there and I said, no, you're not. You ain't moving.
You're leaving me alone at this.
You ain't leaving me alone.
Right.
And so, I mean, she didn't leave. She's awesome, man. I mean, but to me, I mean, we got a good laugh. I mean, I was scared, really. I mean, I just didn't
just to go in to get your eyes checked because you knew that you're going to have to deal with that and how people are going to judge you and how you're going to deal with
I mean, if somebody asks you a question and you really don't have, you're going to feel foolish as a 43-year-old man, and they say, well, do you have insurance? And I got to look at them and, like, with a blank stare, it's it's just the fear of feeling foolish and not knowing and then not having help. My helpmate, if she's gone, I wouldn't even be able to, and so
you wouldn't even have gone in there if she wouldn't.
And you kind of feel like, I've often heard people say that, when you see guys come outside, they look healthy and just, you have a different look, right? There's just a different look about you,
your skin is more natural instead of yellowish.
A little bit more, exactly, But so you have this kind of look, and it's just, but I didn't want to stand there and get caught, but you don't want to be known. The fear is that you don't want people to know where you've been. I don't want to come home and everywhere I go, people are looking like,
Yeah, see, and people forget that part that, like, once they get out, you're always that, like, red scarlet A. But there is, and you think that everybody judges you that way, but not everybody does. You learn that over time. And when you were getting out, you hooked up with Reconnections, right?
Yeah.
And tell them how you did that and who runs that and all of that, because that was you started that how long before you got out?
Oh, it was after. It was after I was out.
Oh, so it was once
that I met up with him. Yeah, once I was released. Yeah.
So how did you meet him and get his information?
And then, quick side note, because this might help some of your listeners. When you were talking about the Scarlet Letter and stuff. I mean, I want you to think for a minute, and your listeners to think just for a minute. When you hear that someone came home from prison, and especially when you hear they did a lot of time. I mean, and you ain't even got to answer, but what comes to mind? So it is really hard to beat that stigma. It is hard to beat, judgment and stuff and what people think.
Yeah.
But
I did it.
Well, we're doing it. We're doing it
every day. Right?
Every day. The biggest thing you don't have, Isaac, coming out of there is you don't have history.
Right.
And which is odd for a middle-aged man, right? Or woman, to be able to, where have you been? I can't talk about nothing. I can't even share. I couldn't share a funny story with you at that point.
Yeah.
There's nothing to tell. There aren't too many funny stories in there, So if you would have asked me that question 3 years ago,
I got none.
You would have got that blank stare I'm talking about, like, know.
Yeah.
So, but Reconnections, they're awesome. So a little bit about them you were asking. So Dennis Winden, he's the CEO. It's a nonprofit based in Flint, and what they do is they take what they call citizens with felonies. And through coaching and education and employment, they reconnect these men and women in the community. They help people adapt and get back into the routine of living out here.
All right.
And-
So what are those like basic reconnections that they're giving them? What do you mean by that when you say that?
Well, so one, I mean, they're letting you know that really and truly it turns into a family, but they're letting you know that you're involved with some people that are there to help you.
Yeah.
They're
not judging.
They're not judging because they understand all the challenges that men and women face when they're coming out of the system.
Right.
Which would shock you. I mean, it's a lot. Like, you know, just to share my own example, just to give you some examples. You know, for me to come home and pump gas, I didn't know how to pump gas. My wife can hand me a credit card, and, you know, they got movies on the gas pump. They didn't have that stuff when I left.
Yeah.
You know, for me to come home, they didn't have cell phones when I left. They had beepers. You know, the internet wasn't a thing. I left in 92. So internet what? You know.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that, you know, writing resumes and, you know, looking for jobs and trying to connect with people. That scarlet letter we're talking about is very difficult. So this organization understands a good part, if not all the challenges that these men and women face.
Yeah.
And so when you come home, they're more than happy to help you navigate that and to get reconnected with your community, hence the name Reconnections.
Right. So you get the opportunity that you are not alone.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's the one thing that I noticed when we're cooking eggs. We're cooking, oh my gosh, 80 eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, just come on and do it. And I'm like, all right. And I remember going down there, and afterwards, we were like, were you scared? I was like, well, what?
Right.
They're just people at the end of the day. Because I'm not really interested in your mistake. I'm kind of interested in what we're going to do now.
Correct,
you know?
yeah.
And so, great bunch of dudes. You let me come out to breakfast. And the one guy's super loud, and I was laughing, probably inappropriately, knowing me, because that's what I do. Right. We're trying to play chess in the middle of the thing, laughing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just in the middle of IHOP, just being stupid. It was so much fun.
Absolutely.
And each person has their own individual makeup and backup. And what I love about it is, like you said, you get to be a family. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that family and the setup and how you got your position. So if you haven't gone and checked it out yet, check out our life application biblical class we have at spiritualwarfareunit.com. And like, share, and subscribe on Spiritual Warfare Unit YouTube. We will see you right back.
I was an addict for 6 years. I was deeply into heroin and addiction. 2014, a lot of events happened for me. I had lost my sister. My dad was just diagnosed with cancer. I was just kind of in this headspace of being in a mess as it was. And then I was introduced to heroin. I kept it pretty well hidden there in the beginning. A lot of people didn't know that I was using just because I went about my everyday life the same way anybody else would. But what they didn't know behind the scenes is I was using 10 times a day. I'm living out of what I consider a trap house at this point. There's no windows, there's no doors, there's no place to stay warm. I had no other way of making money. I was doing things that weren't okay to me. I started prostituting. I was stealing from my loved ones. I was taking my dad's cancer prescriptions, and I would take them and I would sell them. I couldn't even contact my daughter in December of that year to tell her Merry Christmas or send her gifts. And it just got to a point where I knew, like, I'm either going to get clean or I might as well start planning my own funeral. So for me, it wasn't even just that I needed to stop. My life over the course of 6 years fell apart.
So I met Sarah in 2019. We had a program I was working with law enforcement officers, and I got the call that they had somebody, so there I went to meet Sarah.
Here's just this happy-go-lucky guy just, oh my God, here's treatment. Here's what you can do. You can change your life around. I'm just kind of sitting there like, oh, okay, what did I get myself into? Like, maybe sitting in a cell by myself might have been a better idea, because at least I don't have to listen to all this.
Whenever I see somebody who's willing to go to treatment to try and help with their issue, it's something that I don't make that judgment. I always just try and provide the hope, the encouragement, and the motivation to go to treatment, and then hope that it works for them, hope they engage, hope that it's the point of life that they're in, that they're ready to make that change.
It was a huge wake-up call for me. When I'm watching all these people that I used to hang out with, including my husband, get clean before I did. And just watching their lives change so drastically and them becoming so much happier. And I just sat there in this endless abyss of a mess that I caused myself, but I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't know how to stay clean. I didn't know how to live my life without substances because I had done it for so long.
With UCAN and our relationships we can actually get people into multiple treatment facilities. So depending on age, gender, the drug of choice, things of that nature, there's certain facilities that maybe have a little bit more of a success rate with certain populations. So we kind of talk through that and then try and place them where we feel is an optimal place to succeed.
My husband and I finally got a place together, and life has pretty much been good ever since, but like the key role of it for me was staying in contact with people.
We can't go in and drive in and grab somebody, just pull them out like they're drowning. It's a decision they have to make, and it's a commitment they have to make, and then they have to be diligent, determined, dedicated to find sobriety.
So my husband has 2 years clean, and I have 22 months clean. I will have 2 years clean on December 21st of this year. Just last month in October, we went back to court. Everything's officially terminated. She's back home with us for good.
Yeah, so UCAN is that conduit. A lot of times people don't know when to or how to or where to go to start looking for services. So we try and promote UCAN as being the starting point for people to begin the road to navigating recovery.
It is more than possible to change your life around.
So this program that we have allows law enforcement that if they have somebody that they feel could use the opportunity to try and get treatment instead of incarceration, that they would reach out and we could handle it for them.
Recovery is possible, and there is hope.
All right, welcome back to our last session. So we were just finishing up some funny stories, and then we got into some of the difficulties that people have coming in. So you started off as a young 17-year-old kid, made a mistake, lived through the system, finally got through the system, got your past straight, met with reconnections after you got out. So what do you do for work?
Well, currently I have a day job at a deer farm, Conquest Scents, out in Davison.
Conquest Sense, like
Sense.
SENCE? Or
Absolutely,
SE?
just like you smell, yep.
Okay. And what do you do there?
Well, on a farm, they say you wear many hats and you do whatever's needed. But mostly, my duties are divided up between I pour, manufacture their product, and I do some administrative help with some paperwork and stuff.
Okay. And what else you do? I know there's something else.
Well, specifically out there, I mean, the scents are just animal byproducts. So you got to, find yourself, obviously, the urine and different things.
So all
right,
the hunters that like, I got that beautiful doe smell.
That's 100%.
You're the guy.
I'm the guy, and that's where that comes from. I mean, I'm happy to say, Conquest, they're number one in their space. Great company. The owners there are awesome.
Okay.
Doug and Karen Roberts. I mean, they're just great
And they can
stewards.
go online to get that.
Absolutely. I mean, any hunters out there, 100%. You can go online, conquestscents.com,
and you actually make this. So you're the guy that knows what the buck's looking for.
I'm that guy.
Wow.
Yep. 100%.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, and so
it's one of them jobs that's interesting, kind of like when I worked in a license plate factory. If anybody ever tells you they built license plates or did license plates, you know where they've been.
Yeah,
right? 'Cause there's only one spot that does that.
Yeah, stamping company.
Yeah, I'm with the stamping company, but yeah, I was a clerk there and stuff too for a number of years. So yeah.
All right, and so you also run a business, correct?
I do. Yep.
All right, and so you're a business owner, and you have a day job, and then after you do those two things, then you also just recently got a new position. What's that, bud?
Well, let me back up and be real clear. First, I'm a husband. You know that, right?
Yeah. And sorry, babe.
We got to get
love
our
you.
priorities straight.
That's
Isaac.
right.
But yeah,
you're right.
but
I'm
no.
wrong. You're attractive. I'm not good looking.
Very, very happy to say that I'm the outreach director for Reconnections.
Outreach director for Reconnections.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, what do you do with these guys that come into the program?
Well, we take these guys in and kind of glean out, as Dennis always says, you pick the guys, they pick themselves for success. You know, generally people, you know, they know what they want, and so they're easy to find. Mm-hmm. So you glean out guys that are on the right path. And like we were talking about before, there's a lot of modeling and things that go on, but you pull them into the program and you teach a lot of soft, hard skills, you know, interviewing, different things. You talk about success and goal setting, and we go over, you know, financial planning, and just we get them equipped. The end game for that is that they are able to get employment. That was the original focus, I think, of Reconnections. Right. But it takes on now like a more holistic approach, you know, where you're trying to help them in every area of their life.
Sure. So first contact was like a 9-week program, and then they were able to get a job from that 9-week program, correct?
Correct. There'll always be a job waiting at the end of that.
But then it kind of turned into a family kind of thing where guys with similar backgrounds didn't have to be afraid of telling their background because everybody else had a similar background. So the thing that made you unfit in society became the reason where you fit. And Reconnections made a block where you guys have to go through that experience even to fit in.
Correct. Or to really relate. Because, you know, in fairness to a lot of the people that volunteer, Isaac, including yourselves, and I mean, the community is amazing, you know, and so we have a lot of business owners and CEOs and, you know, people that are employers, and, you know, the community of Flint is amazing. And, you know, on the comeback, sometimes comeback's a little slow, but a comeback's a comeback, you know. And a lot of these people support Reconnections, you know, and they support these men and women. They understand the value of people that come home and they know. And, you know, I think sometimes we just got to reframe and understand how we see people. The same way we talked about, like with the Scarlet Letter, you're looking at things like, hey, but if you look at that same individual as somebody that needs a break, that's redeemable, that's going to work harder than anybody you've ever met because they need the break. Right. And they're trying to change their life, and, you know, you can model and help them and guide them. That's an outstanding individual. And what I share and what I teach with a lot of these guys is that they're leaders. And the reason I say that, not for a good reason, because you know, none of us, we're far above reproach or perfect, any of us. We've all made mistakes.
Right.
But these were the guys, and I always tell them, you were the guys that when society had their laws and rules, refused to obey them. You were willing to take risk, even with your own life, because that's what happens. You lose your life, you lose your freedom. Right. But you're willing to take these risks to do what you want to do. Well, what does an entrepreneur do? What does a business person do?
Takes risks.
They take risks, and they got to work hard, and so they have all these same traits. But you got to teach people that, you know, you have it. You have what it takes, but this is what you need to do. You know, and so.
Right. And I found. Just in support of what you're doing, there's a guy he used to be a robber, he used to rob places, and I remember talking to him. He's like, "What skill can I offer?" And I was like, "Why don't you be a security company?" Yeah. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "You know how to get into places, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, keep set up a system that keeps you out. If you're the best." Right? Then and he was like, I'll be doggone. And he actually started a company. He has pretty good successful. And who do you want more than someone that knows how to break into places to do it, right?
Well, people, they don't understand, like, what the reframing and teaching them is like, say for instance, one of our biggest plagues and what fills the prisons is drugs, right?
Right.
But let's just say you have the guy that's selling drugs in Flint. I mean, you gotta manufacture, get them. You got sales, you got marketing, you got to know who you can sell to. You got collections, you got to deal with money, you got to invest money. You're a business.
Right.
You know, but they don't look at it like that, you know. But when guys find out that, hey, you can take your same skill sets, that same who you are, and turn that into something, like you said, the security guy, he could have a thriving security company. That's right. He can break into anything. Right. So he knows how, you know, he knows what to look for. And so, Right.
And these guys are good dudes. The one, because you said, what'd you call it, gleaning? Yeah. Like you're pulling the guys that want to be successful out, man. So if you're getting this message and you have a family member that has gone to prisoners, just got out of prison, that reconnection program. What was that email address again?
It's reconnections.org.
Reconnections.org, and getting in there. It is a community, man, and I love everything that you guys do. Your story is a perfect example. He's and Andy, you're a Reconnections guy, right?
Correct.
You're one of the guys that came up, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the type of people that Reconnections is turning out. And I find your story absolutely amazing, because all the things that could have gone through, and people say, oh, yeah, they all find God in jail. And there's a certain amount of truth to that. There's also humor to that. But at the same time, when you see someone really want to make change, and like you said, you have your day job, and then you have your business, and then you do outreach director. Like, I'm not sure, like, I need to see your fangs, because I'm not sure if you're a vampire or not, because you're just always doing something, right? So I am so excited to have you on. That is reconnections.org. If you hadn't had the chance to go like, share, and subscribe from YouTube on Spiritual Warfare Unit, please go check that out. If you haven't seen our Biblical Life Application program for your programs, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com and check those out, and we can request a video request and have that emailed so you can check that out. I appreciate you coming in. Again, this is the Warrior's Way, and Andy was our Warrior This Way from Reconnections. Thanks so much, bye. You guys have a great week. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good.
That was close.